Hey guys, how are we doing today? Welcome to MacMerize. So Apple just finished its Far Out event yesterday night, and it was an interesting event to say the least. We saw 3 new Apple Watches, 4 new iPhones, and 1 new AirPods Pro. So it is all very interesting, and in today's video, I am going to give you the highlights of yesterday's Apple Far Out event. Right? Obviously, if you want a shorter version, if you want a quick and crisp version, for pricing, other things, visit us on Twitter. We're pretty active on Twitter. You can find the links in the description for the same. Let's get started. Let's first talk about the Apple Watches. So we have the new Apple Watch SE, we have the Apple Watch 8, and we have the Apple Watch Ultra. Now let's talk about the Apple Watch SE. Now the upgraded SE comes with fall detection, collision detection, or impact detection due to new gyroscopic sensors. The Watch 8 also comes with collision detection, fall detection, emergency SOS service, and what else does it come with is the temperature sensor. Now the temperature sensor is going to be used to help women with their ovulation cycles and other requirements. So it is very important, and they have focused very well on the data privacy part of this medical information. Now the reason being the latest changes that have come in the United States. Now that is something that is up for discussion much later, but Apple has assured that this data will be safe and no females will be targeted because of it. Now coming to the Ultra. Now the Ultra is where most changes have taken place when you talk about an Apple Watch. Obviously, the gyroscopic sensor and the sensor for detecting collisions are important. But then once again, when you talk about full-on change, when you talk about change in the design, change in terms of performance, you have to talk about the Apple Watch Ultra. Now, those of you, before we begin, the Apple Watch Ultra is an interesting device, but it's also a very costly device. The Apple Watch Ultra costs 89,900 rupees in India, which is massively costly. Now for this, you get an ultra tough Apple Watch. You get an Apple Watch that you can use with gloves, you can use for diving, and this Apple Watch also comes with an extra action button that you can set for quick action. Another major thing with this Apple Watch is the fact that it lasts for 36 hours straight. Now 36 hours is a huge time for people. Now, who is this watch intended towards? This watch is intended towards professional athletes or people who do trekking professionally, who explore the world, right? This is for them. It keeps them going, and it is only available in the cellular version. There is no just GPS version for the Ultra. The Ultra will always come with cellular versions. Now let's move on to the iPhone. Now this is one of the major parts of presentation when you talk about the Apple events, right? So the iPhone 14 series, which is basically the non-Pro variants, are coming with last gen chips. Now don't worry, the A15 Bionic is a fast chip, but this version that is coming in the iPhone 14 is now coming with the additional GPU cores that were there already in the iPhone 13 Pro models and Pro Max model. Now within the iPhone 14, what's changed is Mini is gone, so we have said bye-bye to the Mini, and now we have the iPhone 14 Plus, which is basically a larger version of the iPhone 14. We also have a new front camera with autofocus, which is an industry first. Now the front camera for the basic iPhone 14 series, which is the non-Pro variant, is in a similar format of a notch. So they've not gotten rid of the notch that was there in iPhone 13, and design wise the iPhone 13 resembles the iPhone 14 cut to cut, except for a few changes and a larger back camera sensor. Other than that, you're not going to see very many variations when you talk about the iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Plus. Now let's move on to the series which has actually received an upgrade, that is the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. Now obviously, whenever you talk about Apple, the biggest thing that they change is always in the Pro or Pro Max series. Once again, you have a beautiful fast refresh rate display, but here the dynamic refresh rate can go down to just 1 Hz. Now what this does is it allows Apple to implement always on display. So only the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max models will be receiving the always on display feature. Another major thing that is happening with the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max is satellite connectivity. So in limited number of areas to start with, Apple is going to launch emergency satellite connectivity to ensure that people, if trapped outdoors or somewhere very remote, can actually access satellites and then send a SOS message to their loved ones. Now do note, the signal for these satellites is not going to be very strong with the iPhone 14s, and that might be an issue in extremely remote areas. You will have to go to an open area and point your phone directly towards a satellite. They've built a UI to help with this, but then again, do not compare it to the likes of an actual satellite phone. Those are very different. Now when you talk about the design, again, design has seen some changes. Now you have a pill. Wait, no, that's not what they call it. They call it the dynamic island. Now, to be very honest, it sounded a little funny when they first said it, dynamic island. It almost sounded as if they're trying to make something up that it's not. And everyone genuinely thought that Apple is going to introduce the pill cutout there and they're going to call it revolutionary, but it is revolutionary. Now with Apple's implementation of the pill, what happens is the space that is taken by the pill is also used for your notifications, for your running actions, and it is an absolutely beautiful UI. Now obviously a lot of testing has to be done to say whether this is something that people will like and actually usable or not, but by the looks of it, it looks really cool and really interesting. And a lot of people are now wondering, why hasn't this been implemented when you talk about Android, since Android has moved on to punch holes and pill cutouts for a larger period of time. Now obviously there will be answers to this question much later on, but let's move on with what's newer on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, because the changes haven't ended here. You also now get a 48 megapixel camera. That's right, now iPhones have finally moved on from the 12 megapixel camera to the 48 megapixel camera. Now if you're wondering what is the quality of 12 megapixel camera, right now this video is being shot on an iPhone 13, which by the way you can get in sales below 60,000, or rather that is what is being rumored. Obviously we will cover that too on this channel, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Moving on, 48 megapixel camera uses the pixel binning technology. When the light is a lot, you will get 48 megapixel photos, but as the light decreases, the photos will then be toned down to 12 megapixel to ensure better lighting. There's also a new algorithm that Apple has introduced. Now this algorithm is going to make your photos much better, is even going to make them brighter, and is even going to have better HDR. Real life conversion of all the things that Apple has said is obviously going to take time. Another major thing that Apple has changed with their Pro series is the battery. Now the battery is going to be even more powerful when you talk about the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max models, when coupled with the new chipset and higher battery. Right now, let's talk about what's not good when it comes to the iPhone 14. So for US specifically, the iPhone 14 will not have a SIM slot. In the US, only eSIM variants of the iPhone 14 will be sold. So if you were thinking of getting one from the US, I don't think that has happened. Another thing, the satellite connectivity is pretty limited when you talk about which countries have access to it. As far as the pricing goes, this is where majorly the negative part of this launch comes in. The iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Plus series are actually priced decently. When you talk about the pricing, the iPhone 14 base model is available for 79,900 rupees and the iPhone 14 Plus base model is available for 89,900 rupees. But when you talk about the iPhone 14 Pro, it's available for 1,29,000 and the iPhone 14 Pro Max is available for 1,39,000 rupees, which does not come even close to the correlation of its US prices. So that is a question that is left to answer. Why are we paying an India only tax? There might be a reason when you talk about customs or something else. Do comment down below what you think is the reason behind the higher prices for the Pro and Pro Max models, whereas the normal pricing for the iPhone 14 model. And are you thinking of buying an iPhone 14? Wait for the end of the video so I will answer the question whether I am buying one or not. Right? Moving on, let's talk about the last thing that was launched here, that is the AirPods Pro second generation. Now the AirPods Pro second generation, a very interesting thing. So an Indian artist song was played to the intro of the new AirPods Pro, right? The song named Voodoo. So that was very interesting for me to watch. Honestly speaking, do comment down below if you observed that. And yeah, that was extremely interesting. Moving on, the AirPods Pro second generation are going to come with the new H2 chip. Now this chip is going to ensure that you have better sound quality as well as better noise cancellation, which will dynamically eliminate sounds even in transparency mode, where you want to listen to the outside world but not to the harsh sounds that are coming in the outside world. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the AirPods Pro second generation perform in real life, and we'll for sure show you that. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel and do give us your comments on whether you're happy with the way your AirPods are working or whether you're looking to upgrade to the second generation of the AirPods. Now that was the Apple event and my thoughts on it. Obviously we're going to discuss it further, divided into the Apple Watch, the iPhone 14 and the AirPods. So yeah, that's going to happen very soon. But from the looks of it, the base iPhone 14 models don't look as viable as probably the iPhone 14 Pro, which seems like the realistic upgrade to the last generation. Now it is obviously dependent on the price, the value, but as far as our opinion is concerned, my opinion is concerned, the iPhone 13 seems like a very interesting phone, or rather a very value for money iPhone for people in India to buy right now. Do let me know your thoughts on this. Obviously we are active on Twitter and we would probably discuss there. That's all for today's video, guys. Do let us know if you have any feedback. Thanks for watching. Take care.